Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have card number 23 for my Encouraging Cards series. So let's go ahead and get started on this card. I'm going to be using those adorable images from Hello Bluebird, and those are called Fall Friends. And I'm going to use the matching dies that I have with those as well. So what I'm doing right now is I have a piece of Nina Desert Storm cardstock, and I have just put that into my Mini Misty, and I'm going to line up my images that I plan to color. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to do some Prismacolor pencil coloring. I haven't done that. I don't believe I've actually done that on this channel. Maybe I have, but not to this depth. And since Kathy Racusin is having her 30-day coloring challenge, I thought, you know what, I should mix up my mediums from time to time. And so I am inking that up with some Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Pretty much any ink would work, I suppose, but that's what I started with. And I have sped this up about 4 times because clearly I don't color that quickly. And I am just going to start coloring with my Prismacolor pencils. I don't have a large selection of Prismacolor pencils, but what I do have, I do really like. I think, oh golly, I got them years ago in a set. And you can buy the pencils individually, but I got them in a set. And I think I got them for Christmas. So I've had these for a while. But the key that I have found is having a sharp pencil. I think the reason I don't typically color with colored pencils so much is that I don't want to say that I am impatient, but I am a little bit impatient when it comes to the colored pencils. That's part of the reason why I like Copic coloring so much. You get to see the result pretty quickly, and you don't have to go over your image too many times if you don't want to. So all I'm doing is I'm using a very light hand, and I am in no way very proficient with the colored pencils. I really like the look of them, and I use them when I feel like it. So I'm using a very light hand going over the top, and with each layer I'm just adding a little bit. And then I'll try to, as I get a little closer to the finish, I will sometimes add a little bit more pressure. But the key to colored pencils is using a light hand, because these Prismacolor are wax-based pencils, and if you go too hard, too fast, you're going to end up with a waxy buildup, and you won't be able to shade out like you'd like. And so that's, I think, part of my issue is, at least with Copic coloring, you can usually tend to keep working it. I mean, eventually you can overdo it, but you can keep working it until you get the desire you like. Whereas with colored pencil, because I do sometimes have a heavy hand, you get to a point where you just can't go any further. So I'm just using sort of the same colors, or I've picked a color palette that I'm going with some fall colors, and that's pretty much where I'm going with this. Just fall colors, and I'm starting with my lighter colors, working my darker ones in there. And most of these, because these are smaller images, except for the bunny's fur and the deer's fur, I used 3 colors on there, but most everything else I'm using 1, potentially just 2 colors. And I'm just going back and forth till I get the desired look that I am hoping for. I don't think I'm actually that great at coloring clothes on things, mostly because I'm probably not that great at picking out my own clothes to match. So coloring these animals' clothes, I think the biggest issue for me is picking out the colors. And if I'm not using a pattern paper, then I just, you gotta go with what you think would look good. And so that's where I'm kind of pulling my colors from. That might be why I tend to like pattern paper as much as I do, because you can draw inspiration from the colors. And in this case, I'm not using any pattern papers. I was just trying to go with fall and see what colors might be bright and vibrant and work with that. So I'll keep going. And, if you have any questions, not that I know a lot about them, go ahead and put those in the comment section down below, and I can try and find that out for you. Like I said, not super proficient, but I do enjoy doing it, and I've colored with them for a long time. Another thing you could do, instead of just trying to blend them out with the colors themselves, is you can use some either Gamsol or some baby oil and a blending stump. And I haven't done that in a long time, but that's actually the way I always used to use the colored pencils, was using some Gamsol and a blending stump. And when you're using a blending stump, you know, once you need to switch colors, you can just use a file or an emery board, and you can file that down, and then you can, you know, move on to your next color. But yes, that's what I used to do. I do enjoy this look, and there are some people who are just so amazing at coloring in this way. I kept everything inside the Mini Misty because with colored pencil sometimes you can dull down your ink, and so I just stuck that back in my Mini Misty, and I'll go back over the top of that with the Memento Tuxedo Black, and then I will stamp over the top to make sure that those lines are a little bit more crisp. And I'm going to stamp out my sentiment on that top portion. So I don't want to waste any paper. Waste not, want not, right? And then I'm going to start die cutting. Now I'm showing you my system that I have. I bought these magnet sheets. They are by Marietta Magnets. I believe that's what they're called. Marietta Magnetics. And I bought those on Amazon, and I will link to those down below. And they're 5x7 is what they're sized at, and I got a 25 pack for a pretty reasonable price. So I like to cut these down to fit behind my stamp sets, and I just keep all that packaging together. It'd be nice to be able to afford to buy new packets and cardstock and all that, but I honestly would rather use that money towards new stamps. So I bought the magnets, and I'm using my wire clippers, and I'm just trimming those over my trash can so that the pieces don't go flying everywhere. And then I'll just keep that magnet sheet with my stamp set. And I'll get all these ready to run through my Sizzix Sidekick. And these magnet sheets, they have some movement to them, but I think they hold pretty well. So that's why I'm recommending them. So here's my Sizzix Sidekick. You guys have heard me rave about that so much, but I really do love it. I very easily probably could have just kept all those pieces together and ran that through my Big Shot, but in a small space that I have, it can be kind of a pain to pull out my Big Shot unless it's absolutely necessary. So I just use this Sidekick all the time, and I'll keep running all those through, and I have the leaves, I have to run those through a couple times. My card base is some blue corn from Tailored Expressions, and that was a 4 1/4 inch by 11 inch piece that I scored at 5.5 inches to make a top folding A2 size card. And then I have grabbed this My Favorite Things homespun stitch die, and it doesn't cut all the way through by any means. All it does is add some dimension to the side is what I'm going to do. So I'm taping that down using some micro pour tape, and then I will run that through my Big Shot, and then as you see, it just gives this little stitching line. So that's a little bit of added texture, a little bit of added dimension there. And I'm using some foam tape on my sentiment and all of my images, and I'll just start sticking those down where I want them. Peeling off the backing paper. This is that Scotch foam tape, and I finally broke down and bought a new roll. So now I can be liberal with it again. Every once in a while they'll have a pretty good price on that on Amazon. So I'll have that link down below as well. And I will adhere my Nina Desert Storm card panel to my card base, just using my Tombow tape runner. And I don't know why, I just can't seem to get these on there very straight. You'll see this later on. It seems okay right now, but you'll see when I go to open it up and decorate the inside that it's not. So I'll have to trim it down. And I'm just using some tacky glue to tack down a couple of those leaves, and then I will add a few leaves to the outside of the card as well, and then leave those last two for the inside of the card. And then I will tape down some of Nina Desert Storm for the inside panel. And see what I mean? Then I'll have to trim that off. And when I'm done there, that'll actually finish off this card. So if you liked this card, I would love it if you hit the like button, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so. And as always, I do appreciate you stopping by.